So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Creative Tokyo. I'm your host, Hitomi Abiko, and today we have three amazing ladies who recently made a career change into design. So let's welcome Nicole, Kathryn, and Lulu.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so you guys want to introduce yourselves? Just want to go in a circle?
Yes.
Yeah, start with Nicole. You can pass the baton on.
Okay, thank you. Give me a second. Kathryn, Lulu, can you mute yourselves? Awesome, there you go. So yeah, hi everybody. My name is Nicole. I am a Canadian Hispanic lady here living in Tokyo. I'm currently working for a Publicis group as a UX designer. And for those of you who don't know what that organization is, it's a French design agency here in Tokyo. Yeah, when I'm not designing, I love to indulge in photography, playing with my cat. I'm a cat lady. And yeah, trying to empower the design community here in Tokyo, Japan. Yeah, nice to meet you. So I'm going to pass it off to Kathryn. Go ahead.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathryn. I'm usually living in Tokyo, but at the moment I'm in London on a business trip because I am working as a UX UI designer for Octopus Energy Japan, which is a UK energy tech startup that has now expanded to a global energy provider. So yeah, they launched in Japan, I think it was about a year ago. So I'm working with them as their UX UI designer in my free time. I like video games, movies, just hanging out, relaxing. Yeah, nice to meet you. And Lulu?
Okay, let me spotlight everybody correctly. Lulu, I think you might be muted.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I was muted. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lulu. I'm currently working as an in-house product designer at Atrae. I'm now working for the B2B SaaS product. In my free time, I like to go hiking and traveling. Yes, it's nice to meet you.
Welcome. Awesome. So thank you guys for, being our panelists tonight. So, each of you has had different experiences on the way to becoming a designer, right? And today we're kind of looking to help our audience address these questions. 1, is this the right path for me? 2, how do I do it? And 3, what does the light look like at the end of the tunnel? So before we start, we actually have a quick poll. So let's see where people are at in their career change process. Yeah, where are you in the career change process? Okay, yeah. Okay, you guys changed your career for sure. Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know if you guys can see the results already, but there's like this wave that like is constantly changing. Very interesting.
I believe you can share the results afterwards, Hitomi.
Okay, gotcha. It's actually like a pretty even spread right now, which is interesting. Okay, we'll wait just a little bit. And yeah, anyone else want to answer the poll? Are we good? Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Here we are. So a lot of people kind of in the early stages as well, and just curious, and plenty of people actually in the active process, which is cool. Awesome. Alrighty, so now that we kind of know where we're at, going forward, let's dive right in with the questions. So, okay, what did you do before design and what made you consider a career change? So let's start. I'm just going to pass the baton to Kathryn.
Thanks, Hitomi. Good question. So before design, immediately before design, I was working as an English teacher in Japan. So I was working at a university teaching English. But before that, I was actually studying drawing and applied arts. So I was already kind of moving towards a creative field. Sorry, was there a second part to that question?
Yeah, like what kind of what made you like switch, like for sure? Like, is it just because you didn't enjoy the English teaching, or was it like the environment? What have you?
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy it, because there were some great times that I had there, but every day was kind of the same. It wasn't really that big of a challenge. I knew I didn't want to do it forever. And I had already like studied applied arts and design. So that kind of gave me a little bit of a clue about what I wanted to do. I already had a little bit of insight into those creative fields. So I decided to kind of pursue that as a career full time.
Yeah, it's great. You went after your passions, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to pass the baton to someone?
Sure. How about Lulu?
Oh, yes. So before switching my career as a designer, I was working as a sales manager at a big American company. I was doing $1 million business, and I thought that was very fantastic. I thought, I was a very ambitious student when I was in college, and I was doing, I was on track. I can become a very good career woman. But actually the work itself was a very high pressure job. And sometimes I was really questioned if I could keep doing the job for my entire life. So that was like the reason why I started to thinking about change the job.
Okay. When you say high pressure, like what are you referring to? Is it like the workload or?
Yes. So because I have my target numbers. My target sales numbers. I have a really competitive co-workers, colleagues. I need to compete. I have to win all the time. And my numbers are tracked every single week. It's a lot of pressure.
Okay, yeah, hitting sales targets. Yeah. Anybody from not in the sales industry would be like, oh, that sounds scary. But yeah, definitely. Okay, so what about you, Nicole? What was your kikkake?
Yeah, I guess, my life before UX design was actually within marketing. I used to work for an engineering consultancy, and they basically did water solutions, for example, broken water pipes here and there. But yeah, the reason why I wanted to leave this industry was just, I guess, like as a marketer, I was traveling a lot of international business trips, and they weren't, it wasn't 1 week trip, it was something more long term. So I definitely was seeking that remote working life. And also, as you kind of grow older, I wanted something a little bit more quieter. So yeah, I thought this was kind of like the perfect gateway to kind of get into that.
Definitely. Yeah, I guess if you're traveling a lot and like not short term, right? You're talking like months.
That's right. Maybe like half a year projects and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
And
Okay.
that's the thing. It's one thing to travel for pleasure, but it's another thing for business. So
Yeah, you're basically like semi-nomading, which is interesting.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So you guys all have, like various reasons that you decided to make the switch, and all like for a better, life experience, I imagine. So I guess, like how did you actually make the switch? Like what was the process like? And give it to, let's say, Nicole. Going in
Hey,
circles.
Yeah, that's right. Coming back at me. Yeah, how did I make my switch? I was lucky enough that I could actually internally switch my roles from marketing into UX design. But even then, it wasn't the industry that I really wanted to, because it was so like technical, and it's quite a traditional industry, the water pipe business. Yeah, so I think after that, I definitely joined a boot camp, which is Design Lab, to kind of learn a little bit more about the whole design thinking process. And yeah, it was really nice, especially since the industry is changing so much these days. It was kind of nice to learn like all these up-to-date methods and everything, and made a lot of friends along the way. And I think afterwards, when I was back in Japan, I started freelancing to kind of focus in learning, I guess, like the behaviors and tendencies of Japanese users. So most of my projects I did outside of Japan work with, I guess, like North American participants. And I know that wasn't going to be the same thing happening in Japan. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you did Design Lab and you made an internal company switch, which is
That's
cool.
right.
Like that, like you were an UX designer there, or?
That's right. For a very short time. Yeah, but it was, again, like I wanted to, it was more B2B, and I wanted to kind of go more into B2C. So yeah, at the same time when I was wrapping up my old job, I was doing Design Lab, I graduated, I kind of came back to Tokyo, and I could, yeah, kind of find my first client.
Okay, wow. Awesome. Let's see how like yeah, just trying to get a gauge on how folks are actually changing their careers. So
That's right,
yeah.
Design Lab.
All right,
Yeah.
what about you, Lulu?
Okay, so me, I was first time I was figuring out if the UX UI is for my thing. So that's why I researched a lot about what is UI UX designer doing. And then I started to researching about how to be a UI UX designer, because I was curious enough I was ready to change my job as a UI UX designer. And afterwards, oh yes, this is my things. And I studied a little bit about HTML, CSS, kind of a little bit coding, and I create my first really very simple website. And I learned how to use Figma, and I read the books and fundamental design principles. That's really helped me to kind of to move forward my first step.
Okay, so you actually delved into books. So like lots of
Yes.
book reading.
Yes, like I'm not like Nicole. I didn't have any design or artistic background. I was studying business communication when I was in college. So I started from zero. I studied, what is design, what is UI UX. But thanks for the technology, thanks for YouTube. You can search everything on YouTube and it's all free. So I think we were born in a very nice era.
Yeah, the education is just out there if you go looking for it.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, are there any like specific YouTube channels that you like followed that were particularly useful, or?
Oh, yes. Actually, AJ and Smart is a very famous YouTube channel, right? AJ Smart.
Agent, I'm sorry.
AJ and Smart. Can you pronounce,
And
Nicole?
Smart.
Yeah, AJ and Smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're, I think, a German agency.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I also watch them too.
Yeah, it's a Germany UX agency, and one of the video was very popular because it's about all the steps how you can be a UX designer, what should you study, and yeah, how to approach to the companies when you are interviewing. And it was very helpful.
Nice, awesome. So I love how you're utilizing these free resources to really make the switch. So awesome. How about you, Kathryn? What was your journey like?
Yeah, my journey was maybe more similar to Lulu's journey, in that I didn't do like a boot camp or anything like that. you know, at the time that I decided to make my career switch, I had limited resources. So I had to kind of just like figure out how to get there within those constraints. So I actually ended up doing the Google UX professional certificate, which I'm sure everyone has heard of by now. So I did that. It took me about 6 months to complete that, and it was really useful. It was a really great foundation. So taking the learnings from that course and then building on it with, you know, just some experience, like grabbing some pro bono work, or trying to do like, well, internships and participating in other like volunteer opportunities, just to kind of like get stuck in. I guess that's my style, is kind of like just throw myself in there and see if I can figure it out. So yeah, that's what I did.
That's really awesome. Sorry. But yeah, like you actually, you know, reached out to folks and got your first design engagements essentially, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think, you know, my next question is actually about that. Like, what was your first one, your first design engagement? And, you know, like, what are your takeaways, I guess? Like, how did that happen? So that's too many questions. You want to start, Kathryn? Just to
Yeah,
continue.
sure. Yeah, so just build on that. Yeah. So my first design engagement in this like world of UX UI was actually redesigning a homepage for a like a log house or like cabin resort in Karuizawa. So I had stayed there with my husband, and you know, when we were there, they have like a sauna that you can book, but you have to go to their website and like reserve it. So I checked the website and I was like, oh, I can see like a few ways that I could potentially improve this. So yeah, after we went home, I thought about it for a bit. Then I approached the owner with a proposal. I contacted him by email and I just said, hey, like, I'll do this for you for free. I just, you know, if you're okay for me to put it in my portfolio or as like, you know, some experience. And he was totally fine with that. So that was a great experience for me to have some exposure, like working with an actual client, even though it wasn't like making me any money. It was quite different from just like learning from the course. You're actually like, you've got the client who's, you know, got needs, and you've got the users there who've also got needs. And it's quite a different scenario to the like just strictly learning environment. So that's what I did. And I recommend like anybody kind of reach out for pro bono stuff and just get stuck in. How about you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to like, you know, reiterate, yeah, like having actual needs to solve, like, you know, to look at, I think that is pretty much key.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to pass the baton too.
Yeah, sure. How about Nicole? What was your first experience like?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think in some ways, my experience parallels yours a little bit. Like I told, as soon as I was starting to do like client work, I was telling everybody and their moms about it. And that eventually kind of got back to me, like a friend of a friend who was in contact with like a tea ceremony school teacher. And that kind of became my first client. And basically, as a UX designer, I help them, you know, make a website in order to help them connect with their current and prospective students a little bit better. And yeah, the main takeaways of that, oh, wow, so much. Yeah, a lot of, I guess I really wanted to dive into, you know, the tendencies and the behaviors of Japanese users. And I guess I got what I wanted. I did like all the research, all the usability testing, all the user interviews in Japanese, and that was a lot to handle. But in the end, yeah, it was a great learning opportunity and I don't regret it. Yeah, it was kind of like trying to navigate that space that, you know, Japanese isn't my native language, but I did have enough command that I could really extract insights. And I, you know, thank God I always had, I guess, my Japanese friends to double check in case like I misinterpreted anything. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, and like you're bold to, you know, actually go and, you know,
Yeah, I know.
users
I
and
was
not your
like, oh, I
friends.
took too much. And also, I love tea. So I thought like, oh, this is great. But wow, like the tea ceremony world, I really went down the rabbit hole with that one. I learned a lot of like new terminology. Like there's like different disciplines like omote senke and ura senke, and like did they have different like names for utensils and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
like
guess
totally different industry.
I wouldn't call myself, a tea ceremony master, but I'm like, I can follow what you're probably going to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love how you really got, like up close and personal with that, with the users there.
Of course, of course. Oh yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting too, I guess, because I'm a Canadian lady, comparing how can I say, like user behaviors between North American participants and Japanese participants, but that's for a whole different session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how they actually read things in Japan.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
What
But
about
how
you,
about you, Lulu?
Yeah.
Okay, so my first design engagement was non-paid freelance volunteer job. So I didn't have any design background, friends around my circumstance. So I was asking my friends if you have a design job or someone who want to hire a designer. And I finally got the freelance volunteer job. After 3 months, I started to studying UI UX. And I was just really small. I was just doing really small things like improving the product information architecture or creative simple wireframes. And I didn't really doing a lot of UI, but it was really great first job because actually like I helped the really small step, but it was great first experience.
Yeah, awesome. So you also went down the pro bono route a little bit. Yeah. Man, so like I guess everybody, started out with a first free freelance gig. And that kind of like helps with your portfolio and stuff like that. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So I guess now that you've made the switch, right? Assuming you've like interviewed, successfully with various companies and found like the one, at least for now, I imagine. What's it like being a designer? Like what changed? What's different about it or what's not? Let's go with Kathryn. I feel like a teacher.
Okay. Yeah, so what's different about being a designer versus being an English teacher? My job is a lot more interesting and a lot more challenging. Personally, I feel like it was the right choice for me. So it's easy for me to feel really engaged by my design work and fulfilled by that. I'm really motivated by solving problems. So, for me, every day is like exciting. Even when I'm like making a sign up form, it's still really like interesting to me. So I love that aspect. I guess the maybe like slightly negative side to that would be that I do end up working a lot more than I used to. So when I was an English teacher, I had like a start time and a finish time, and that was it. I would go home at the end of the day and I would like never think about it again. Now I have, my work laptop that's with me all the time. And then because of that, and because I do find it so interesting, I usually end up, working quite a lot more than I probably should. But maybe that's my thing to sort out. Maybe I have to set some boundaries there, but yeah. How about Nicole?
Yeah, I guess comparing, now to back then, yeah, I'm completely satisfied where I am right now. It's exactly what I was looking for. And yeah, I'm happily, working remotely. Yeah, I completely understand what you were kind of mentioning before, Kathryn, but yeah, definitely making those boundaries, like not answering any emails or any like messages after a certain amount of time or even on the weekends. Yeah, but yeah, I think for me it was worth it. So
Hmm. Yeah. What's your experience like, Lulu?
Yes, so like Nicole, I'm also really satisfied with my current job, and yeah, remote. I can also work remotely, and it's amazing feel. But there is something I didn't expect when I was studying UI UX is that working with engineers. I never experienced working engineers before, and first several months it was difficult because I need to learn their language. I necessarily didn't need to run code or didn't need to know everything about back end and front end, but still I need to learn how to communicate with engineers and move the project forward. And I needed to broke my a lot of UI designs. Also, like I need to improve a lot of designs, and it's a lot of things like ups and downs. But anyways, like I learned so much, and now like I feel like this is a real in-house UI UX product designer's job. Like you first step, what I was doing when I was studying UI UX is creating a persona, creating user journey map, and it's very like case study ish, like very fundamental. But in the real world, it's not really like that. Like you sometimes really just need to focusing on working within the team, and yeah, you need to learn a lot of stuff like I didn't expect when I was in just like self-taught when I was in just studying. So yeah, you should expect you have to run a lot after you actually become a UI UX designer. But I don't want to scare you guys. It's definitely fun
Expectations
job.
versus reality. Yep.
Yeah.
It is true. Like as you said, learning stuff is very different from the actual work. And when yeah, like definitely working with developers, like if you don't know what they're talking about, like all the code and whatnot, and various, terminologies, then yeah, you're just like thrust into the world. Like, what are they talking about? Right? I mean, like, props to you guys for, going through that and learning that on the job. Oh man. Okay, so I guess so Lulu and Kathryn are in-house designers and Nicole is in an agency, right? So I guess kind of leveraging your experience, like, do you want to open it up for the audience to ask some questions to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the fun part, right?
I want to throw some questions into the chat and we'll see. Seems like you guys are having
questions. Can be
Yeah.
about anything. Work, boot camp, learning, job hunting.
Oh yeah, we can do Mike. Vin, do you have a question?
Hello. So I thought I'm Vin. I'm just gonna ask a question here. So it's interesting to hear these stories right now because I'm kind of going the opposite route. Like I've been in IT for about like 25 years, So I'm trying to move away from that. And the one thing that's really challenging right now is I kind of forgot how it is to not being good at something. So sometimes it's quite discouraging. So I was wondering if you had like similar experiences when you went through your career change.
Go for it, Kathryn.
Hi, sorry, yeah, that really resonated with me actually. Like, since I studied art and design at uni, and I do have a creative background, like with drawing and especially fine arts as well. I guess I just had this impression that like moving into anything creative would come naturally to me. And especially as an adult with like a fully developed taste and like vision, like it's really hard to reconcile like what looks good and what you produce and it doesn't. So it's really because what good is, but you're not doing that and you're like, I'm an adult, why am I not just like good at this? Like I thought for me it was really hard to kind of like deal with that discrepancy until I got my skills up. But yeah, anybody else?
Anybody else who had like, a big gap between, I don't know. I feel like Lulu maybe, because it was like completely new, right? Did that
Yeah.
feel like intimidating or anything?
Yes. I mean, again, I didn't have any artistic design background. So I was really not sure UI UX is not for me or not. But that this is like the one things I really want to tell you. I question myself, do I really want to keep working as a sales, or I want to change my job? Like I was questioning this question to me, like which way I can be happier. And the answer was yes, I want to change my job as a designer. That's I believe that I will be happier. So there was like only one way in front of me. Okay, there's only one thing that makes me happier. So there was no way I keep doing it sales job. Like I could make a reason why I kept doing a sales job. But if I ask the question in front of me, okay, I could be happier if I change my job as a designer. So okay, yeah, just going. Yeah. Does it make sense to you, Being?
Yes, it makes sense to me quite a bit. Yeah, I really want to change careers, so I just keep going at it. And a bit like what Kathryn said, right now I'm doing a lot of photography, for example. And I mean, I don't think what I'm doing is terrible, but there are times when I'm like, is that good enough? But she just said on the chat, I'll just keep going at it. And someday I'll say bye-bye to IT, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, like, it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to push myself to what I was not really good at it. English is my second language and everything, like I need to learn from internet and every resources in English. But I believe, I kind of like my sixth sense knew that this is the right way. So if you have that type of sense, I want you to believe, you're a karma, or yeah, just I want you to believe your way.
Well, thank you. And I must say, since I've been wearing all sorts of hats in IT, I went like, at the beginning, there was no such thing as back end, front end, and whatever. It was like just the end. It was just the thing. But I've done back end, front end, DevOps, and UX and everything. And I think you're on the right path. No problem there. It's interesting for me to hear those stories, because when I started learning all of that when I was back as a teenager, back in high school, it was super slow. You just had dial-up, and you didn't really have a set path to learn everything. And I think it's a little bit easier today, because now you have all those great resources for you to learn, which is good. So you're doing well. I can see you're doing all well when it comes to that. But yeah, thank you all for the answers.
You're welcome. Thanks, Vin, for the question. Okay, so we have some, let's see. So we have a question from Yoshie, Siki-san. I don't know if you want to ask away. Sorry, that's my watch.
There's one from Lydia about imposter syndrome.
Okay, so yeah, let's go from top to bottom. So how do you overcome your imposter syndrome? Like any of you guys?
I'll go first, I guess. So the short answer to that is I don't. I think that's true for like a lot of people, even people who've been doing it for years and years and years and years and are like experts. Like I think it still even affects them. So as much as you can, try to silence those voices and just like I said before, like just keep going and just know that like, you're always improving, and every project you make, your skills like get better and better, and just try to stay positive. How about you, Lulu?
Wow. So so the question was what? Like how to deal with imposter syndrome? Oh wow, like that this is like a huge things for me. I've been suffering this for a long time. Yeah, I don't have any, sorry, like I don't have a good answer, but like I think to have a good friends and a supportive family is, I think it's significant. It's very difficult. I think this one will not be cured completely if if you bring this feeling all the time, because like always be there, right? If you do hard work, but like you accomplish something, but somehow and maybe like tomorrow, no, the day after, or like maybe a week later, you feel like, okay, like I could do it, so everybody else can do that type of things, right? So yes, you need to have definitely community that supports you. I think that's really help you. Sorry, like I really don't have a good answer for this.
No, but you make a good point, like, having people around you who are, validating. That's pretty
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
it's definitely tiring, you think like you are not enough all the time. So definitely you have a community that support and encourage each other. Sorry, like I shut you like
oh, no worries.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly just chime in what I think something that helps me is just practice, just constantly keep practicing. And I think, this constant exposure builds up your confidence, and also, you know what to expect, or you start to kind of expect the unexpected, basically. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I know a lot of, I think, at least in the boot camp when I took it at the time, like a lot of people read a lot of UX books, but they don't do. So I would
Mhm.
focus on the doing.
Yeah, definitely the doing, because what you learn in books is, as per Lulu's experience, is very different from the real working world. So Kathryn read 0 books. Okay, then.
Yeah, I don't think like, I mean, like we should remind ourselves that we should not really you know, compare like with others people a lot. Cause like in this industry, when you look at the like UI UX portfolios, case studies, like there's so many like, fantastic like designers out there. And then like when I compare myself with them, like it's terrible.
Like, stop comparing
So,
different clients.
yeah. So just to make sure that you celebrate your progress, you celebrate, your everything you accomplish. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yep, being positive about it definitely helps, I think. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Yoshie-san. As an English speaker or foreigner getting a job or career in Japan, like what were the main obstacles?
Oh yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah, I think it's particularly you guys, Nicole and Kathryn.
Yeah, I mean, I faced a lot of obstacles, and like some of them are like specific to me. Those would be, I think this is like speculative, I guess, but based on like, some things I've heard or other people have experienced and told me about in job hunting in Japan. My age, so I'm 41, and I changed my career, in my late 30s. So, I mean, that was probably an obstacle in Japan. The fact that I have changed jobs a few times also was a little bit of an obstacle. Of course, the language barrier was big. Yeah,
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
So like the language barrier is huge. Also, like applying to a lot of companies, like a couple of companies just straight up told me, sorry, we want to hire a Japanese person. So, there is that as well. And I ended up working for an international company. So I still don't even know if it's possible to break into an actual Japanese company, but yeah, and I don't really have to use Japanese so much at work, but my Japanese level is around daily conversations. So if I do need to communicate with people in Japanese, I can. I don't have to deal with clients because I'm in-house. So that also helps. I'm only dealing with my like close coworkers and stuff. So that's okay for me. But yeah, how about you, Nicole? What kind of challenges did you face?
Yeah, I think for me, it was definitely the language barrier. I think there was like seemed quite polarized. They either wanted like native Japanese speakers or, almost no Japanese, like, requirements at all. And I think for me, I kind of aimed in the middle. Like I would really like to work for like a bilingual company, or if I have to pick, probably English, just because there's so many like unspoken rules, unspoken etiquettes that I don't want to really stress out over. And I just, I want to be a good UX designer. I don't want to worry about, did I offend my boss? Did I offend my the clients and everything? So yeah, I think that's what I kind of strategized when I was doing my job hunt, like focusing on a bilingual company or international company. And yeah, yeah, but yeah, definitely the language barrier was a big one. And I think it's not maybe because it's like an English speaking problem, but maybe it's just the industry in Japan as well. Like I think a lot of Japanese companies, there was I'm not sure if they're aware like the differences between like some things in the UX industry are like I would apply for UX designer jobs, but once I was in the interview process, I would find out like, oh, this isn't UX, this is UI. I'm like, but do they know that? So those little like miscommunicate, I don't know if it's a miscommunication or maybe how they interpreted what a UX designer is. So yeah.
I do think there's a lot of like misconception, maybe globally, but I mean, my experience is Japan, so I'm going to talk about that. That a UX designer is someone who like, well, makes things look good, or like is a graphic designer, or does video editing, or is like an After Effects wizard. But like, people don't realize that our job, the main part of our job is like solving problems creatively. So I think that gets lost and people kind of just be like, oh, you make this look good, right? Like, so I think there is a kind of like disconnect with that for sure.
Oh man, definitely. I think that the job title and job description mismatch is like huge. And I see it in the US, but like it's definitely pronounced in Japan, especially when you realize, oh, UX designer, really? And then you look at the JD and it's like, oh, they just want a graphic designer to make banners. So definitely, that was a great question. Thanks, Yoshi. And you're what? You're half Japanese. We can't speak Japanese. Okay, gotcha. That's where she's coming from. Okay, cool. What other questions do we have? Sorry, I'm like scrolling through my chat.
I think it's from
okay.
Terry.
Yeah, broad question. What keeps you motivated? Studying can be endless, so how do you keep going? I mean, I think Lulu said, I prioritize my happiness, go down route A or route B. That's a very good point. How about you two?
I also prioritize my happiness. But like, I do get quite like focused in when I'm doing something. But the other thing is that like sometimes, as I said before, like there's a point where I just kind of get tired of studying and I drop studying in favor of like pursuing some actual like try it and find out experience. So I guess that was my motivation. It's like, okay, I've got enough of like a background. I'm just gonna dive in, see what happens. If I fail, okay, then I'll learn from that. I think that's more motivating to me to kind of learn that way after like a period of studying. But I couldn't just sit there and like study for the whole day. Like I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm very, very bad at that. How about you, Nicole?
Yeah, what keeps me motivated? I guess that's interesting. Probably maybe would be like whatever the problem is. If it's something like, my first client was like the tea ceremony, that's a space that I was super interested. So I got 100% absorbed into it, even though it was a lot of work. But also like the people, I feel like, not to throw any shade at the marketing or sales departments, but I felt like that space was very competitive. But comparing that to the design community, it has been completely different. Everybody's so warm, so welcoming. And I think those people really inspire me to keep going and to become the best that I can be.
Yeah, the people around you, in the same industry, I think that helps a lot. And, yeah, definitely the designers I've met, they're like, everybody's so chill. It's like, it doesn't matter. They're not like, oh, I'm better than you or whatever. Awesome. That was a great question as well. Let's see.
Jay, I believe.
Yeah, so continuing on, so this is Jay, continuing on what Vin asked, did anyone get feedback or mentorship along the way to build or refine the skills, or is it more common to be just self-made? Fair point.
I can probably speak to the mentorship part, but to the self-made, I'm gonna leave that to Kathryn and Lulu. So yeah, I guess I'll quickly explain what kind of happened on my side. Yeah, so I did Design Lab. So the wonderful thing, and I think one of the biggest reasons why I joined that was that they did provide mentorship. And it's great because you basically kind of get matched according to what your learning style is. So not to sound super hardcore, but I wanted somebody super challenging, structured, and organized, and that's exactly who I got. And I think they really made me grow in such a small amount of time, because I'm not gonna lie, he was tough. He gave a lot of tough love, but yeah. And I think that feedback was, it was not that he was, rude or disrespectful in any ways. Sometimes I thought like, wow, I did an amazing job at this, and he'll like point out the little flaws in it, and it hurts sometimes, but yeah, that's what it's, I guess being a designer is all about, like trying to absorb that feedback like objectively. And yeah, I think in the end I did it. Yeah. How about you, Kathryn, Lulu? How's your self-made experience?
I wouldn't say I'm entirely like self-made, and I don't think anybody could really claim that they are. Like you would encounter like some mentorship along the way. Initially, I do tend to do that. Like I do tend to kind of be like, I'm gonna do this myself. Like I'm quite independent. So but I set out with a Google course, I made a portfolio, and it was rubbish. I sent it out to a bunch of jobs, got rejected millions of times, and I was like, but I finished this course and I made this portfolio. Like, why isn't it good? Because I had no other input from anybody else. I only did what they told me to do, and then like created this thing, which was terrible. And after that, I realized, okay, maybe I need to kind of like branch out. And then I did sort of branch out, network with other designers, like doing some internship projects. Also, I had a few mentorship sessions with someone from ADP List, so that was really helpful. It's a really good resource. So it's invaluable. You need other eyes on your work to just kind of like criticize it, and you need to take that on board, and that feedback on board, and you need to improve. Yeah. How about you, Lulu?
Yeah, okay, so I think it's I will talk about very practical, affordable affordable skills for you to find a mentors. So first of all, I would try to reach out people on Twitter. Like maybe it may sound crazy, but I create my portfolio and I send my portfolio to someone who looks very professional on Twitter, and like I ask them like hey, I will send you like 500 yen Starbucks gift for you. So could you please like review my portfolio? And actually it worked. Several people like give me a review, and it helps me a lot. And also LinkedIn, like, you guys mentioned before, but LinkedIn is a very good place to network. You can find a very professional people, and you can ask for interviews and how to get in the job. And also I think Facebook is like fantastic because there are so many UI UX communities on Facebook. And actually like I joined one community, and I kind of I posted about, I want to be a designer, but like I didn't have any resources in Japan. So how can I be a UI UX designer? I posted it on on Facebook, that just random UI UX community, and one of them replied me like, hey Lulu, do you want to do personal projects with me? He is living in Maryland in United States, and we were actually doing several like meetup. We end up like creating only wireframe, but still it was like a great mentorship because he's studying UI UX in master's in Maryland College, and it's one of the best school in the States. So yeah, just I was using a lot of social media to try to reach out to people, because during the COVID, I was no connection with, people and like in person, hangouts or in person meetup. So yeah, that's the only way I could survive. Yeah, so I think you guys should do, if you like me, like, don't hesitate. Yeah. Does it make sense to you guys?
They're all very, very valid points. Like you should definitely get a pair of eyes, right, on your work. Because for Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Like if you think it's like, oh, this is so amazing, like for sure, and like you haven't shown it to everyone, that's just because you don't know, right? Or it could be just because you don't know. So like the more, like in my view, the more what is it, imposter syndrome you have, it's actually a good sign that you're taking a good objective look at your work, and you probably had some people look at it and be like, opportunities for improvement, whatnot, which is all great.
And in my early stage of studying UI UX, I joined Creative Tokyo's Meetup several times. And I remember I got the feedback from Hitomi-san and as Terry, and like that time, like I remember I showed my like WordPress, just a template. Yeah. It was, I don't know, it was maybe cute, but like, I was really like studied from zero, but it was, I think, good progress.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got 7 minutes left. So anyone have like some really burning questions? I
think somebody was asking about, I think it's something Christina asked about. She's on a student visa, but she doesn't, plan on having a bachelor's due to unable to afford finishing school. Is getting a job in UX in Japan difficult without a degree?
Oh, so like, okay. Interesting. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
That depends on your visa situation, because you won't be able to get a work visa if you need one, unless you have a bachelor's degree. I think that's a government regulation. So you might want to look into that a little bit further. But I think that's, as far as I know, that's the case, but I don't know what your situation is. So.
Okay, that might be good to look into the legal side of things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting.
Oh, may I share my personal experience about visa? Hi, I'm Serena. Actually, I am now a UI UX designer, and I don't have bachelor degree, and I applied for the visa change, and I got the visa. So I think that's possible.
Got the visa. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
My background is in music, so it's totally not related to design at all. But I successfully changed to the humanity engineering visa. So I will encourage everyone to apply and don't feel discouraged about that. Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. So if you can get that visa, you just prioritize, and I think at least right now, businesses prefer experience over academics. So just get those clients, and I think you're going to be on a good track.
Interesting. Okay, so you guys actually have some legal advice a little bit, but all disclaimers, I don't think any of us are actual visa lawyers here. Cool.
Oh, actually, sorry, I think Serena had a question there about process that I really wanted to get to, because I think it's really interesting. So can I go ahead?
Yeah, go
and
for
read it?
So the question is, what's the difference between the design process you learned from bootcamp and self-study and the design process you use in a real company? That's great.
Yeah. So I guess my answer is, it's really different. So it's like, at least in the work I'm doing now, it's quite a luxury to be able to go through all of these processes and test everything like as the bootcamp would tell you the process should be. So we're quite an agile company. That means we release things quickly. we test them quickly, we work things out really quickly. So like our philosophy is like kind of like put it out there and get feedback, basically. Like get an idea, refine it a bit, put it out there, get feedback. Based on the feedback, we kind of adjust it, which maybe is a little bit different than learning stuff like going through personas and empathy maps and all of these things. So yeah, for me, it's quite a lot different. I don't know about Lulu nor Nicole though, so.
Yeah, I totally feel it's totally different from like what I learned when I was taking the online classes. Because now I skip a lot of things because now I'm working as an in-house. I have to deal with so many different kind of design work. So like I sometimes skip, making personas, because like persona is there. Like, I work for B2B search product, and then like already persona is there, so we don't create persona anymore because we already knew it. And for like UX UI research, UX research, I don't usually ask customers directly to what is a product issue, because already we have a customer success support people there, and I can ask them directly what is like customer issue. So we designer hear from them, and we ideate, we create a UI, and like we develop the feature with the engineers, and like yeah, it's agile. It's really like going so first, like just like yes, repeating the process.
Yeah, definitely different experience, right? From study versus real life. So awesome. Since we're almost at time, like I think we want to wrap it up a little bit. And I guess if any of you have like, one word, word of advice to people, just keep at it, or like whatever. Feel free to shout it out.
Yeah, just keep going. Don't give up.
Yes.
And make a good portfolio.
Make a good portfolio.
Yeah, for me, it would be network. There's more allies than you think you have.
For me, okay, so for me, don't hesitate to ask help. It's your life, so yeah, you deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, Hitomi, can I quickly chime in? Yeah, actually, guys, my agency, Publicist Group Japan, is currently hiring. They're hiring for all levels, so junior, mid-level designers are welcomed. I created a form, so I'm going to drop it in the chat. And yeah, I think they're looking for UX, UI designers, UX strategists, or any PMs. So if that's something that you might be interested in the future, definitely for sure. Save it save it, or if you're kind of prepared, yeah, feel free to send it out.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we have like we have a job board on Creative Tokyo as well, so folks who are kind of in that process already and are good with their portfolio, like definitely feel free to come in and check it out. So yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everyone, and thanks to our panelists Nicole, Kathryn, and Lulu. We will have a recording and transcript up, as well as a takeaways blog post. And at Creative Tokyo, we host events at least monthly. So come in, and hopefully we'll have some in-person ones eventually again. So yeah, awesome. So we have an active Slack channel as well. So join in, come join the fun. And yeah, otherwise, until we see you next time, see y'all. Thank you for joining.